Well, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. My voice is still not the greatest, but I'm gonna try to do a video on Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, Coinbase, and the most hated miners. I just want to share my perspective real quick. The Bitcoin monthly chart here, I don't think by any means that Bitcoin has topped at all. I think Bitcoin is probably going to go to minimally around 175 to 200,000 is still my base case. I could be wrong. The market doesn't have to do what I think it's going to do, but it's just been making all-time high, and there's no reason to call a top here because of that. There's even potential for it to go up a lot higher, but we'll talk about that when we get there. You know, I just want to see how it kind of reacts. If it ends up getting to 175 to 200,000, we'll see how it reacts there. It may not, right? There's no guarantee on the market. But it's just overall time and time again, it just seems to be hitting arc after arc after arc after arc. And right now, do I think it's going to hit this arc up here around, 600, 700,000? No. I mean, I think that's just absolutely ridiculous. But do I think it's probably going to hit up the horizontal line over here based on the Gann market symmetry? I think so. If you don't believe in Gann theory, that's fine. There's really no reason for you to believe it one way or another. It's just that this time it would be weird if the cycle tops over here, because then you're saying that this time is different, right? You have multiple cycles of Bitcoin. Even the cycle over here from 2015 2017, it was happening without having any Fed printing a bunch of money like it did at COVID, right? A lot of people think that the reason why Bitcoin pumped is because you have a lot of money being pumped in the system. Well, they've been pumping money in the system continuously through time, and there's really no question about that. You know, like all of this money printing over here, this is the M2 global liquidity index. It really just they've just been printing money over time. Like there's no reason to believe otherwise, and they're gonna keep doing it again. There's no reason to believe it otherwise, right? A lot of people also getting scared because you have a downtrend here for the global liquidity. I do not think that Bitcoin correlates 100% all the time with M2 global liquidity supply, because you have downtrend here while you have uptrend in liquidity, right? Overall, I do think that we're basically backtesting a breakout over here on a horizontal zone, and pretty much every single bear market you have like a horizontal zone that needs to be broken out before Bitcoin breaks out, right? We've broken out of it, we're backtesting it, and currently there's not really anything significantly scary about it. You see how there's a horizontal zone over here. We broke out of it and we're back testing it, and that's when Bitcoin is able to go a lot higher, right? During this back test, did Bitcoin dump a lot? No, not necessarily. So during every single cycle, there's a parabolic phase with Bitcoin that drags the lower Bollinger Band all the way down to the ground, all the way down to the negatives, right? Let me get rid of this here. It drags the low Bollinger Band all the way down to the negatives because of such crazy volatility that is created. Right now, have we had that yet? No, we haven't had that yet. It pretty much follows a little bit of like a expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, and then a huge expansion, right? Same here a little bit, right? Expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion, right? Expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction, maybe expansion coming soon. All it takes is just maybe like 2 or 3 candles for it to go up a lot higher for this parabolic trend to be happening. So I'm on the higher time frame on Bitcoin, I'm actually not bearish at all. A lot of people are saying this bearish candle on Bitcoin is a shooting star candle, whatever you call it. First of all, I always look at trend, and I don't really see any signs for trend exhaustion, right? Based on the Bollinger Band, based on the RSI on the monthly, I don't really see any true sign for like bad exhaustion or anything like that. If anything, the candle is just a candle in isolation. It doesn't necessarily mean anything on its own. Let's take a little closer look at this particular candle here, right? My collaborator, the great Masby, has brought up a very good point. This scary looking candle over here, what you call a shooting star candle, is happening as an inside candle to this one, right? And as an inside candle, generally, it just means consolidation. It just means that after it's done consolidating, it's gonna resume its primary trend, which is the uptrend. So I'm not entirely scared about this candle. I wasn't, and certainly so far, what do you have so far? I mean, the month has only had like 5 days to it, but so far you're getting a little bit of a bullish engulfing candle here, aren't you? A little bit too early to say this could all be just a wick. Next thing you know, it could be really literally like an evening star kind of thing, and Bitcoin can go down a lot lower, and we're all going to get screwed. Our portfolio is going to go to crap, but I just don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. Now, with that said, if I think Bitcoin is going to keep going up a lot higher, then I would have a hard time thinking that MicroStrategy is going to go a lot lower, right? If I pull up the chart of MicroStrategy, what you're going to see here is on the monthly, it's not quite an inside candle, but it's basically a consolidation pattern like it was over here. It's just consolidating sideways, and nothing scary is happening yet. If you're looking at the Tenkin in the kitchen, the blue line and the red line here, unlike the top over here, where the blue and red line here is really serving as bad resistance here, it's been serving as support. There's no reason to think that you're going to go down just because of this, right? It's forming higher highs and higher lows. I'm going to turn off the Ichimoku, and I'm going to go to the weekly chart here and kind of illustrate to you and get rid of the Fibonacci levels here for a sec, and just kind of illustrate to you how this scan has shown pretty decent market symmetry on the way up. And overall, MicroStrategy was always at risk for potentially closing the gap over here and around 280.8. Did we end up closing the gap? Let me see. High there, low there. No, not really. I think it's still about $2 off, right? But a lot of people are looking for this gap close or even lower prices. You might not get there. You just simply may not get there. The market doesn't necessarily give you what you want or what you think you deserve. And it's a higher high, higher low type situation. So who knows what a higher low is going to be. Any guess is just going to be guesses. We're going to look at support here. If you would have sold up here, good for you, right? If you would have sold right at the fib level up here. Now this is a linear fib level. Log fib level is really, really clear in terms of why that was rejected, because it was right at the 1.618 log fib level, and came back down and found support here in 1.414, right? Couldn't really hold it for a few weeks, broke down underneath of it, grabbing some liquidity down here below. But overall, if you would have bought right around the 1.414 here, you would have broken even right now, right? It's only been a few weeks. And right now you got a pretty bullish weekly candle over here. And then on top of that, you're also backtesting the 2.618 level, right? You have a hard time breaking back about the 3.618 here on the linear fib, and you're backtesting 2.618 together with this can line over here, found support, right? So far there's nothing really bad about it. You also have some pretty decent volume compared to last week's volume. I think that MicroStrategy is going to be okay. I think that a lot of people get scared because price went from like the 500s all the way down to the 200s, went down 50%. And a lot of people think that MicroStrategy is crap now because it went up like 4,100% and then went down 50%. So MicroStrategy must be crap now. Their strategy must be micro, right? I don't really see this cycle ending quite just yet. Not in January of 2025. I just don't really see that happening quite just yet. If you're talking about potentially getting it, do I want to get into MicroStrategy? I'm not really that interested in things that have kind of gone parabolic, you know, and I do have a position in MicroStrategy. It's small, it's not on my top 20. it's not showing up here, you know, on my top 20 exposure here at all. But it could still be pretty decent if it does well. You know, I was having a hard choice whether or not to sell up here. I decided not to because I didn't want to go through the psychological stress to try to find the higher low to try to buy it back at. But yeah, I guess like, you know, I lost like 50% of unrealized gains, but I also had a lot more unrealized gains too. Like none of this really matters. It all depends on your psychological health and depends on what you would like to do with your time frame. Do you want to play cycles, or do you want to try to be cute and try to sell and try to buy back lower, right? For me, I made a conscious decision because I just simply don't really want to stress with that. And I think it's probably going to go a lot higher anyway. Now, that's MicroStrategy. Talk about Coinbase. I'm extremely bullish on Coinbase. And I've been buying Coinbase really right around here. I've also been buying the 2x Coinbase ETF called COIN, and I've been buying it down here, right? Sure, there's a lot of unrealized gain that was lost, right? Because of the beta, because of the leverage, the nature of leverage. You're gonna end up having some loss just due to decay, right? But if you just look at the Coinbase chart, like how can you be bearish about it? Is try to break about the 0.886, was not able to, came back down, back tested the 0.786 here perfectly right at the Gann arc. How can I be bearish? Very nice demand candle over here with a hammer, right? How can I be bearish over here? You know, volume is not high, but again, it's higher than last week's volume. There's a little bit of a trend reversal that's happening here, and I'm still pretty bullish on Coinbase. Even the Gann chart for COIN is showing me the same thing. You know, it's kind of pushing back, couldn't quite get to 1.618 here. Come back down, back test a very confluent zone of support, right? Gann arc, Gann angle, 45-degree angle, and the 1.236 fit level. All of those are holding together with another Gann horizontal level there too. All of those are holding. I think it's going to break this arc, and I think it's going to go a lot higher. I think it doesn't. The market doesn't matter what I think, and it's more. I'm just trying to show you my logic and show you what I'm doing. It's not necessarily absolutism. I don't know what's going to happen. I just think that Coinbase and COIN at these levels are pretty decent risk-reward ratios. CleanSpark. Oh man, do I get a lot of hate for talking about CleanSpark? Let's talk about CleanSpark because I think to give you a perspective, I talk a lot about miners because I find that their technicals are interesting. And when I mean interesting is it's just like any cases that are, like, for example, you talk about a law case. You know, if you have a case in a law firm that's interesting, that means that a lot of people can be wrong a lot of times, but we're still trying to get to the right answer, right? Same thing with medicine. If you don't want to be an interesting case, right? CleanSpark's an interesting case. Palantir was an interesting case in 2022. Tesla was an interesting case in 2023 and 2024. Nvidia was never really all that interesting anyway, but it was interesting in 2022, right? SoFi was extremely interesting in 2022 and 2023. Robinhood was extremely interesting in 2023, 2024, right? Shopify was very interesting in 2022. I did not get any of these things on the short time frame absolutely correct. Meaning that at some point I was underwater on unrealized losses, but it didn't really seem to have mattered all that much because they've grown a lot, and right now they're big areas of my portfolio, right? Especially Palantir, especially Tesla. What is interesting with technicals, and that a lot of people are getting wrong, including myself, is MARA, CleanSpark, Bitfarms, CIFR, and a couple other miners that I do own, such as IREN and WULF, as well as BTBT. Right now, I own more Bitcoin than all of these miners combined, like a lot more. The reason why is because Bitcoin has gone up a lot and miners have done nothing. With the exception of IREN, exception of WULF, they've actually made me a lot of gains. with the exception of CIFR. CIFR actually has made me a lot of gains too. But I have unrealized loss slightly. Currently, I think I'm down like 6% with CleanSpark. I'm down maybe like 20% with Mara. You know, I'm down a lot more with Bitfarms. I think I'm down maybe like 30% or something like that with Bitfarms. But they're interesting because I'm going to show you like a few things here. And it's not absolutism because I don't care. Let's just dive right into the CleanSpark technicals here, right? It's sometimes where you're hitting resistance, you can either push through or you get rejected. It just simply wasn't time for it to push through. This Gann art here that I'm drawing here is based on 360 and 0.1. It gave me some pretty remarkable market symmetry here. And it told me that here might have been a buy zone. I bought down here. I bought at the bottom of this range here, around the mid-teens. I also bought down here around 8, right? So right now my cost average is like basically around where price is at right now. Now, did I do it wrong, or did I just spend the entire year accumulating into something that I think is going to do well? I don't know. All I can say is like a lot of people looking at this, oh, this is like a bearish kind of configuration, head and shoulder pattern. It could very well be the case. I've just seen a lot of these head and shoulder pattern being head and shoulder continuation pattern over the years for me to really get that worried about it. It is forming a little bit of a low high. We're hoping this is going to be a higher low because if that's the case, it's just consolidating sideways into a wedge. And so far it seems to be just a wedge. So far I don't think Bitcoin's done. So far I don't think that the market overall is done. I think there's still a lot of juice left, including IWM. I still think IWM is going to make all-time high. So to me, I think that this might be market makers trying to trick you. And there's a lot of shorts here so far, suppressing the price. A lot of people also are wondering whether or not we have dilution really as like the major factor for CleanSpark to be the reason why it is not doing well. First of all, I just want to say that CleanSpark has done extremely well for 2023 when it diluted a lot more, right? It diluted the shares by 141%. It outperformed Bitcoin almost 3 times, right? In 2024, it diluted not as much as it did in 2023, but they diluted, you know, about twofold, and it kind of really underperformed Bitcoin. I think this is where a lot of people's bitterness really came from, because a lot of people really just got interested in this kind of stuff here over the last year, and they're at a loss. They're down like 50%. They're like, what the heck is going on, right? Well, imagine outperformance and underperformance with overall CleanSpark having an outperformance so far. Imagine that, right? It's just one of those things. If you're looking at CleanSpark, yes, they have diluted, and you can find these data freely too, right? But institutions have also been accumulating like crazy during this dilution. They've been absorbing this dilution here the entire time, and during this whole uptrend here is an increasing volume. There's no downtrend on decreasing volume. I think there's a little bit of a how do you say that? I think there's a little bit of reaccumulation that's happening right now. There was a little bit of distribution up here, but I think currently, so far, we're going through a little bit of reaccumulation because the volume, when it goes down, is low. The volume, when it goes up, is high, right? So I think there is a lot of kind of things that are kind of tricking, right? And I also think that the sentiment needed to be reset. Currently, there's a lot of shorts over here for CleanSpark. I guess my conclusion is this: if you're looking at overall in since the start of 2023, CleanSpark increased their share by about 400%, and pretty much all majority of them are being absorbed by institution, because institutional ownership has also gone up by about 400%, right? Buy volume increased in 2023, sell volume declined in 2024. Short interest went up by like 4,000% since the start of 2023. So my conclusion is that I think dilution could play a small factor, but I think it's the shorting that's happening. Institutions seems to be taking advantage of this, and they're accumulating over the last 2 years. These are facts. I'm showing you these, like and these are data, right? But why did the price? I don't care about any of that. Why did the price of the CleanSpark drop, right? Well, it's because it got overheated here, and it's hitting some major resistance here because it broke multiple Gann angles up here, and it's hitting resistance. And right now it's just trying to cool down from one arc level down to the next arc level here, right? While it's doing that, it's trying to backtest some of these angles over here, which is not like anything completely crazy, with the exception that this is a log chart. If you were bought all-time high here, not all-time high, but you were bought the cycle high here, then yeah, it sucks to be down like 60% after it's gone up like 400 and something like not 400, 4,000 something percent, right? I mean, I don't not yeah. I mean, I don't know, not 4,000 something percent. I've really lost track. After it's gone up like 1,470%, right? Is it reasonable for it to cool down? Yeah, I think so. But these are facts that I'm just basically showing, right? Now, looking back at the technicals here for CleanSpark, what else are we picking up here? Well, basically it's simply backtesting the 100-week moving average, which is shown in black here. You're seeing 100-week moving average previously served as support here, resistance here. CleanSpark apparently loves the 100-week moving average. Resistance, support, resistance, resistance, support, support, right? If you're flipping resistance to support, you have a good chance it might end up doing pretty decent things moving forward. And it's just kind of backtesting and support twice. If you're also looking at the 50 and 20 here, I just wanted to point out, so 50-week moving average is the blue, 20-week moving average is the orange, right? It's going through a very similar technical here as it was over here. Over here, it bounced from 50, challenged the 100, and it broke down the 20, and it's been holding 50 before it breaks through all these kind of bunching up, moving averages, and just get on top, right? And just kept on going up. Here, what are we doing? This whole thing right here is very, very similar to what I'm seeing over here, right? But it basically just bounced up, and then it broke down underneath the 20 and 50, came back down. Instead of testing 50 here, it tested 100. It's trying to push back up here, right? But it's getting rejected here by the 120. Here is getting rejected here by the 50 and 20, right? Came back down. Everything is bunching up now, right? All of this is happening with this downtrend here on relatively declining volume, and this whole thing that's bunching up over here having increasing volume. Most recent sell-off the last week was on really not much volume here at all, right? Same thing's happening over here, declining volume over here, picking up volume over here, right? With this kind of drop over here on low volume, next thing you know, some volume coming in, and boom, 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 it just went up. I think we're experiencing some very, very similar technicals over here that we did over here. I could be completely wrong about this, and you're probably tired of me, listening to me talking about CleanSpark. You should be. I'm going to show you something that doesn't look that great for CleanSpark, which is it did break underneath the 20-month moving average, and it's trying to backtest it from resistance, some support here to resistance, right? So far, in just 5 days, we are above the 20-month moving average again, right, by about 1 cent, right? But yeah, I mean, I think you can break down here just like it broke up here, but next thing you just kind of make another low here, right? I actually think that, and you're going to make fun of me for this, if you're zooming out a little bit, if you do a 6-week, it actually cleaned up a lot of these things, right? You see how 6-week, the basis line over here, perfect resistance, perfect support, perfect resistance, perfect support, perfect support, perfect support, right? You're gonna make fun of me, like, why don't you do like 9 weeks or 17 weeks, right? I don't care. I'm just basically showing you whatever shows me the best support and resistance level. To me, I think that it's not as important to kind of go through what actually works and what actually doesn't. I think it's I take that back. I think it's actually better to look through what actually works and what actually doesn't in the past, rather than going through, technicals has been, don't do this way, do that way, because I don't care. They're just lines, they're just curves. I don't care about any of that. I care about what the price action does, and I care about what the lines are doing when it is aligning to all that, right? That's all I really care about. Big giant cup and handle here, by the way, still, right? You can say that, over here is also a big giant cup and handle, except the candle went all the way down here, right? That also is a different part of the cycle. Over here was, how you say that? There's over here, the volume, you can already see that they're kind of distributing already on the way move up, right? Because you have declining volume over here, whereas over here on the way up, on the entire time on the way up, it's been increasing volume. I really think that CleanSpark, this is reaccumulation. But I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. All I'm saying is I just don't really see that technicals has completely been broken down quite just yet. And I'm still in it. And guess what? I can afford to be, because this is not that big a part of my portfolio, right? And because I still am bullish on Bitcoin, because I'm still on bullish on IWM, I still feel very good about it, right? Talking about MARA, and then I'm going to cut this video short here because I do want to focus more on MARA. I still like MARA a lot. I still have a position in MARA. I haven't sold a single share. And MARA is actually looking better than CleanSpark in terms of what it's doing. Now, a lot of people are talking about dilution. Dilution happens on the way up, right? During the entire parabolic bull trend of 2020, they've diluted pretty much every single quarter by like 2 votes, right? And the stock doesn't care. It just kept on going up. It all matters is just sentiment, right? The entire year, or 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, they actually haven't diluted all their shares all that much. And that's objective, right? If you're looking at the actual data, you can see institution has been just gobbling up the shares of MARA significantly. Since the start of 2023, MARA has diluted the shares by 100%, but institutions increase ownership by more than 400%, right? So that tells me institutions are absorbing all this dilution, and short interests are really the biggest thing here. It has increased by 400% during this period from 2023 to 2024, right? Sell volume has also been extremely low for the entire year of 2024, right? Conclusion, I don't think the price going sideways because dilution. I think that institutions are accumulating behind the scene for cheap because they're low volume, right? While funds are still actively shorting. This is generally unsustainable. So we'll see whether or not this thesis works out for MARA moving forward. If you're also looking at my MARA chart here, I also see that I did the volume weighted average price from the cycle top and the cycle bottom, and it looks like we found confluence over here on last week, and we found it bounced bigly from that, right? Currently, we're still bouncing back within the bull support band, right? It's just been ranging sideways and done absolutely nothing for the entire year of 2024. But it's been ranging, and it's been a reaccumulation zone, and I think that it's going to look pretty decent in 2025. I still think that that's going to be the case, right? Now, if I get rid of all this stuff over here, because it can be a little bit distracting, if you just simply look at the GAN here, has been bouncing off of one arc to another after broken out above multiple arcs, right? How many arcs did it break through? 1, 2, 3, 4. Back testing one arc. Let's try and challenge the arc here again. Was not able to push through in November. Not the end of the world, right? The important thing is that if you're not sure, keep your position size small, right? Don't do any short-term craziness, because the short-term doesn't care about what the long-term thesis is, right? Not financial advice, of course. I'm just telling you what I think and how I act, right? But the truth is that it's building up a lot of energy, and it's trying to do something here. What that something is anybody's guess. I just told you there's a lot of shorting that's happening throughout this whole entire period, and they weren't really able to short it down that much further, right? I just told you I think Bitcoin is looking pretty decent, and I think it's going to have a pretty decent 2025. So what can the miners do? I don't know, right? I don't know. I bet it'll be real fun if you sell miners now and use all those money to get into Bitcoin, or use all those money and get into MicroStrategy. You'll find out what happens. I don't know. Okay. But that's MARA for you. I'm going to go through the rest of them real quick. Now, you asked me about where I think CleanSpark MARA could go. I think it can go a lot higher. I think it's going to go to some pretty crazy targets whenever it decides to do so, whenever the shorts end up closing, and I can guarantee that they're going to close their shorts. But yeah, I think they're going to do some like unthinkable things whenever they do, because so far the price action apparently to retail has been unthinkable. Like how can things bound get rejected from an arc and backtest another arc here for the entire year? How can that happen? Well, it's happening. What's happening with Bitfarm? Same thing, right? Rejected here, come back down here, backtest the arc down here. It's been doing that the entire year, right? Well, it's not anything that is unusual after it broke through multiple arcs. Anyway, Bitfarm does seem to lag on a lot of the technicals, because it does seem to lag behind 100-week moving average. It does seem to lag on Ichimoku. It does seem to lag behind on the Bollinger support band. It's a laggy stock. I think this is, if anything, a little bit more like an options play for Mara to me. But the technical is not as strong as the others. And it might take a little bit longer for it to kind of bounce back. I'm just going to leave it as that. I'm not going to talk about price targets, because talking about price targets right now is just insane to a lot of people. I'm getting enough hate just talking about miners as it is. CIFR, right? I did the same thing for CIFR with Mara. Look at a VWAP. The volume weighted average price is down at 4.2. If it bounced there, it's going to be really, really hard on the way up. But so far it's finding support here right at the Gann arc. Perfect, right? Getting rejected at 0.786. Find support at the Gann arc here. Building up more energy. Push through that. Once you break about the 0.786, some pretty sickening things can happen to the upside, right? IREN, what is it doing? Got rejected here at the arc. Got rejected at 0.786. Come back down. Try and find some support. Where is it finding support at? We're on a support band, right? Not a bad area to find support on the way up. WULF got rejected at 0.618. Where is it finding support at right now? Well, maybe at the arc over here. I've had like somebody on X telling me that like your lines and your like all that stuff it's fake, and like stop showing them as potential support and resistance. You're not going to get support. There's absolutely the quote is there's absolutely no support until it gets to $5. Well, there's a wick here. The low here is 5.09. I guess, you know, I'm always open to ideas. I'm always open to people telling me that I'm wrong. But when people say the word absolutely, I stop listening, even if you're right. Because I know I'm not going to learn anything from it. All I'm seeing here is this very similar thing that I'm seeing, where it is getting rejected off the 0.786, like CIFR, and coming back back test the arc over here. So far looks like it's holding. It's not going to be a perfect hold, but so far it's looking pretty decent, right? BTBT, why am I bullish on this stock? Well, actually, yeah, because if you look at this trend line over here, it's just basically doing a back test on declining volume. Very, very bullish look, actually, right? And the Gann here still looks pretty decent, right? Angle, arc. Right now we're at resistance. You know, let's hope we break through. If not, that's okay, right? I think we if it comes back down, back test on the stuff, that's fine. I keep buying more BTBT. Right now, I'm maybe like, I want to say maybe like 10% down or BTBT, something like that. But I don't care. I still think that it looks like a pretty decent setup moving forward. And I'm going to just keep on keeping on. CORZ, where is it at right now? Well, it's at the Gann arc, and it's also at the Bollinger support band. Nothing bad, right? RIOT. I've actually been turning around on RIOT. I actually think RIOT's looking more and more bullish. And it might be a little bit busy here. I'm going to turn off some of the stuff here. But before I do that, is backtesting a 0.382 fit level here perfectly, right? Shutting off the fit level here. It's basically got rejected here at the arc and is trying to find support here at the Gann horizontal line, right? During this process, it has reclaimed the bull market support band almost perfectly, right? This is a look that is exactly how SoFi has looked before it's pushed up, right? This is a look that's exactly how SoFi has looked before the push up, right? Where things just look dire for like a whole year and a half, and then next thing you know, it just doesn't look dire anymore. I actually am very encouraged by how RIOT is looking. I'm not going to start a position in RIOT because I already have too many miners. Like again, you have to take into consideration on your risk assessment, right? But yeah, I'm bullish on it. HUT8, what is it doing right now? It's looking great. Came back down, back test to arc here. Initially had last week closed underneath of it. Right now it's closing back above of it, right? Bollinger support bands as support. Let's see if we push about the 0.618, right? A lot of people are starting getting bullish on HIVE. I think HIVE's still going to lag behind a little bit. You did have a bullish engulfing candle here. It doesn't look bad, right? It doesn't look bad. I think that it has to break about the 0.382, and then it's probably going to follow what the other miners are going to do, which is going to be going on their way up. BTDR has been doing the thing that MARA and CleanSpark have been doing in 2023, right? BTDR, what did it do in 2023? Nothing. What did it do for almost the entire year of 2024? Nothing except for Q4, right? And Q4, what did it do? It broke one arc and it broke another. Where is it at right now? It's about the arc. It also broke about the 1.272 FIB level. It's probably going to gravitate up here to the next arc, right? Yeah, it looks good. I don't have anything else to talk about miners. It's already getting a little bit long here. My voice is not the greatest right now, so I'm speaking in like a softer voice. I hope you guys are okay with that. I hope you guys are okay with me talk about miners in general. If you guys enjoy this video, give me a thumbs up because I need it. I'm getting thumbs down. I mean, getting so many thumbs down every single time when I talk about miners. If you actually do appreciate this content, give me a thumbs up. Yeah, just to balance out the bad juju. Anyway, take care, guys. Have a good one. Bye.